Hey guys, I'm Nitro X, and Reason asked me to come on the channel today to show you guys the new update of the Bassline Generator and what you can do with it. Let's go. Alright, so this is actually my first time ever using the Bassline Generator, so I was super excited to check it out and see what it's capable of. So first thing I did here was mess around in the map section. So we got an on-beat section here and an off-beat section. The off-beat is going to add more bounce to your song. The on-beat is going to be driving it more. So because I'm doing Afrobeat, I want a lot more off-beat than I do on-beat. So there are 64 new bass lines that Reason has added to the Bassline Generator, which can be found in Bank B. All right, so this is what I came up with. So I really like the groove, especially in the start because it had that bounce, but I was not a fan of the end of the phrase, so I want to switch it up. Thankfully, Bassline Generator's got us covered because they have the variator section right here. So there are also a bunch of new variator patches that you can use. I just used the square wave because it ended up being what sounded the best for me. But there are a bunch of new variation patches that you can check out. So what I did was I turned up the variation on the on-beat section, as well as the off-beat, to something that I was happy with, and then I was happy with this groove. That groove I really liked. Wasn't a fan of the pitch though, but thankfully we can do manual pitch for that. Another cool thing about Bassline Generator is that when you're adjusting pitch or you're picking things on the map or using the variators, if you hold down your shift key on your keyboard, you can slowly and more precisely adjust your pitch as well as your on-beat and off-beat patches. So the next thing I did, like I said, turned on manual pitch here, and I didn't like this note up. I thought it should just be the root note. And then for this ending of phrase, it wasn't really part of the C minor that the rest of the line was playing. It was a little bit off sounding to me. So I brought it down to be a G, which is the fifth in the C minor chord. And then I brought this one down to be the octave C in the chord. So that way it works really well and it'll translate better when we transpose the pitch. So just in case it doesn't translate well, I also brought in a scales and chords here and set it to C minor. So just in case some of the notes go out of key, then I came up with a little chord progression with the bass line. Make sure you set your sequence and key up here so it only plays when you want to in the song, and then you can fiddle around on the keyboard, and here's what I came up with for my chord progression. All right, so that's what I came up with there, but I wasn't exactly happy with how it was organized in the sequence. So what I did was I actually backed it up a bar so I could get a different groove in the order of the chords. So listen to what happens here. That sounds really good to me, and it had a perfect Afrobeat feel. So after I did that, just because I had it precisely, one bar ahead, I want to go ahead and export that so I can move it around without the sequence changing at all. So I hit my send to track button here, which then exports both the scales and chords and Bassline Generator because they're linked, which is super awesome. All right, so we got it exported down here. Let's talk processing. So we got a smooth bass patch, which I put beneath the finger bass. A little low end boost is what I edited, and I also turned up the middle frequency a little bit more, and I brought the drive down a tiny bit. Then just a quick EQ on here, bunch of low end boost, and then I'm adding some punch here, just taking out some boominess with some dynamic compression. Pretty simple stuff, and then some low end saturation. So then this is what we got after. Perfect. So then after I did that, I decided to pull out my guitar and create a little guitar loop. So for the processing, just threw in a soft tube amp with the twang and bright presets, brought up the mids a bunch to get that warm sound, and then turned the treble and bass down. I didn't want too much high end, but I also, didn't want too much boominess in the bass because this bass line is taking up a lot of that low end, especially because it's a very natural sounding bass, so it has a lot of low mids in it, so you don't need a lot of those low mids from the guitar. So I went in here, also brought in the SSL guitar strip. I used the electric reamper preset. And then right here, just a little bit of plate spread reverb and just a little more mid-frequency boost. After the guitar, I went with a bunch of other elements in here. So it added some ambient chops right here. Over the guitar, a few reverse sounds. And then I sung this little melody here. So I did a lot of processing on that. Did a lot of the auto-tune correcting in the audio editor there. Spread it a bunch, put a cymatics origin. We got some distortion on it. Also using format pitch, and it is double transposed up. So I have it up 12 semitones in the audio editor, and then I have it up another 12 here in Neptune. And we also have a DLS plate on the RV7000, which is actually at full wet, so it has that the fully bathed in reverb, really wide sound. But that does mean usually when I do this, I will push it all forward a little bit. So I'll take snap off and just move it forward a little bit so it's right on time, because when you do that with the reverb, it sometimes delays it. Then I added in my drums here. Some little conga hits. And then I went with my shaker and claves. So I played those in my studio here. And then also used this jazz guitar muted. And then I vocoded it, because who doesn't love a vocoded muted guitar, am I right? And then a little bit of Mark 1. The last thing I want to cover that I did in this song with the Bassline Generator is hi-hat. I was trying to think of something out of the ordinary, crazy I could do with the Bassline Generator, and I was thinking those little hi-hat trills. So in trap music, you'll hear it a lot. Normally, I would just do those in the audio editor and write things out, but the really nice thing with Bassline Generator is I can pick a patch that sounds kind of cool, and then I can just start editing it and then create that loop. So that's something that, you might try and do in the drum sequencer, for example. However, it doesn't allow you to have any of those pitch rolls as much. So I have it right here. I kind of was just messing around in the patterns, found something that sounded decent, but I mostly custom adjusted it here. So you can hear we got the triplets at the start and then the little hi-hat roll. Go on the 32nd note or do like a 16th note triplet or something like that and just play around and see what hi-hat rolls you can come up with. Yeah, that's my experience with the Bassline Generator. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I can't wait to see you guys next time on the channel.